Well, welcome to Tussin Longevity Center's weekly Wednesday morning, 9:45 in the morning podcast. We do this for our patients. We give out general health tips and guidance that they can learn from so that we can expand the impact of our office visits for all of us clinicians here. This is the holiday. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving with your family and friends. And as a result of that, we want to point out that we all probably overate and maybe put on a pound or two. So today's focus is to, so to say, prime the pump. Of course, you can type in your questions. You can ask anything. I'll do my best to give a general response, to give an integrative physician's approach to any of your questions. But this is not specific information. Now back to Thanksgiving and our eating and all this. Very often in the holiday seasons, all the way through January, early February, the problems we typically see here at the clinic are setbacks in our patients' diets, weight loss, energy, gas, bloating, eczema, all the symptoms that you get from the ingestion of foods that typically you would normally have cut out of your diet seasonally. We tend to take this and eat it, and it can inflame our gut. But one of the things I want to point out, and I'm going to really hammer, is around May of 2019, they did find and isolate the metabolite of sugar. And that toxic metabolite is called methylglyoxal. Methylglyoxal is a metabolite of the fructose, which is a fruit sugar component of the sugar molecule. It's made of two molecules, one of glucose, one of fructose. So sugar, that white granular stuff, is made of two molecules of 50% glucose, 50% fructose. And the processed foods that we have hidden carbohydrate sugars in them. So then even if you cut out your ice cream, your Coca-Colas, your candies and cakes, you're still going to be getting way too much if you tend to be cast into a processed food and eating out pattern in your life. It's just going to be there, and you'll still be getting way too much of this. The metabolite of sugar is a toxin. Once again, it is a toxin. Now, let's think of alcohol. Alcohol is a toxin. Alcohol is only processed by your liver. There is no use for it in any cell of your body. And of course, you get acute effects of it, which is the central nervous system impact that gives you that buzz or makes you drunk. But we all know alcohol is a toxin. But the sugar metabolite, fructose, is only metabolized in the liver just like alcohol. So in a sense, giving orange juice, giving apple juice, giving soda pop, sugary drinks, and animal crackers, and all these sugar-laden treats to your children is like giving them a toxin. Now, if you have control of your alcohol consumption and you have it very limited, people seem to be able to handle it, but there's a great risk of substance abuse and addiction to alcohol. The same is with sugar. You have to understand, you don't get the central nervous system effects immediately. We believe ultimately they will link Alzheimer's and dementia to the glycated fructose in the brain, associated with these plaques that they notice there in Alzheimer's and other dementias. And one of the ways I demonstrate this is glucose is a sugar. It will stimulate insulin, and insulin, the hormone, is designed to store fat. It's designed to store calories for you. And glucose is taken in excess as well in the United States, and has been since the 1900s. Now, glucose, when it's too high, when you've taken more than your body can handle, it spills over into your blood and you start becoming a pre-diabetic or a type 2 diabetic. And there's so much sugar, like a snowstorm, that it sticks to vital areas on your body. And I demonstrate this to my patients by putting my hand to my face or over my eye, and it'll inhibit the function of my vision, for example. So it's just sticking, and that's what we call glycation. Now, fructose is a different molecule. It is the one that is the toxic metabolite of sugar, and it not only sticks, it'll stay there so that we can't get it off. And I like to demonstrate it like that. So glucose, if you stop your sugar, will eventually move away. We have the ability to get that glycation down, hemoglobin A1C down. Fructose is like being stuck there and you can't get it off. I want you to visually see this so that you understand. If I do a fructosamine level on you and I see that it's, in our opinion, way too high, I'm not going to even repeat that fructosamine level for a year, maybe even 2 years, because it is so difficult to get the fructosamine sticking to you down, okay? And that's what the process of what we call autophagy, when the protein it's stuck to actually is degenerated and replaced. So I want you to have a healthy fear of addicting substances, alcohol, and I want you to see sugar, and I want you to bring sugar up into that realm. It's not that you can't maybe have a glass of wine or an alcoholic beverage occasionally. I would like you to look at a carbohydrate, sugary treat as occasional. I want you to put it back in the area where it should remain, and that is a treat. But marketing wants you to say, life is happy if you drink beer every night or some alcoholic beverages. Marketing will say life is happy if you're giving yourself a reward with gluten-free cookies or gluten-free other sugar items and treats. So I want you to start hearing about its toxicity. And I want you to understand that it's linked with all our major diseases. So what can we do? What can we start doing? Well, we need to back away from eating so much carbohydrates, starch, and sugars and fruit sugars. And one of the easiest ways to do it seasonally, because we've all probably had too much at the Thanksgiving, and I'll have a nice treat on Christmas dinner, and that is, let's start to employ fasting or self-denial, to just say, you know what, I am not going to eat. We want you to start learning about fasting. We want you to start learning about setting boundaries. We want you to understand that starch, glucose, sugar, fructose, all these sugary items call for a hormone called insulin. Technically, fructose does not call for insulin, to be accurate. Fructose is so sinister, such a toxin, it actually will bypass the insulin response. But let's get back to just sugar in general, because 50% of that is glucose, and your starch is glucose, and your potatoes are glucose polymers. All this carbohydrate and starch, which is cheap to make and pleasant to the taste, calls for an insulin response, and the response of insulin is to store energy in your body for a time when you would have maybe not had food, as our forefathers went through in the early 1900s, the 1800s, and before that. So insulin will help you store this fat. So if you're trying to lose weight by cutting back the size of what you're eating just by calories, you're still going to probably have a lot of carbohydrates in there, and you'll be defeated. You will not be successful in your weight loss because those starches and carbohydrates and sugars, and mostly in the sugary drinks, we find that that's the highest source of where Americans are getting it, is going to destroy your weight loss goals, because any carbohydrates will call forth for an insulin response. And we scale this. There's things like the glycemic index, and we talk about a piece of white bread having a scale of 100. Rice might have a scale of 50. But they're all still having an insulin response. You may not see a quickest rise in your blood serum glucose eating, let's say, a glass of orange juice compared to a piece of white bread. but you will see the insulin response, and that's hidden behind the scenes, and that will destroy all your weight loss goals. So what I would encourage you to do is, fasting is so convenient. You can do it anytime you want. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't involve any cooking. You don't have to spend any money going out shopping for dietary items. It's very convenient and flexible. So what I try and do is I will do intermittent fastings. That means I will always declare that I'll never have breakfast 99.9% of the time, so that my stomach is empty from roughly 6:30 every night until roughly noon, 1 o'clock every day. That means I have 18 hours for my body to burn down and get any carbohydrates, any glycogen in my liver burned down, so my insulin response is very low, so that I don't put weight on. The other thing I do often, or at least twice a week, is I will also skip my lunch. That means I will go from dinner the night before, past 6 in the morning, until dinner the next day. That's a 24-hour period of fasting, or approximately 24 hours. And that's what they call OMAD, or 1 meal a day fasting. And then there's prolonged fasting, where you go several days, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we do say if you're an insulin-dependent diabetic, or you have any unique medical problems, you should consult with your doctor first. But in general, most of us are designed to be able to go without eating. The world record is a man, I think he was in his late 20s, early 30s, and he had a lot of medical problems because he was extremely obese, morbidly obese, and he did not eat for 382 days. So he fasted for 382 days. That was well over a year. And he lost something like 300 pounds and got down to his ideal weight. They did have him on a multivitamin throughout it all, and he drank water profusely. But there's 382 days the human being we know has gone through, and that was in the 1960s in England. So you can Google that by saying world's longest fast, 382 days. And you can learn all about the young man and all the medical problems that he shed because he fasted, and the body will detox and cleanse itself. So we want to encourage you to see fasting as something that you can design for yourself. Whenever you can keep your stomach empty longer, instead of 12 hours, start to move to 14 hours. Once you can comfortably have 14 hours separating your meals, go to 16 hours, okay? And then try 18, and then gradually build up to a 24-hour period. And then if you are eating, try and make sure that you're getting a vegetable roughage, a very low-carb vegetable. Those are typically your broccoli, spinach, asparagus, green beans, Brussels sprouts, things like that. Be liberal with your butter on it, because the fats will make you satisfied. The fiber in the vegetables will help with your bowel movements, because often people who fast will have less bowel movements because you're not eating. And then you have to drink a lot of water. I didn't bring my water today, but water has to be consumed. Half your pounds in ounces every day. So if you're a 200-pound man, you should drink 100 ounces of water. If you're a 150-pound woman, you drink 75 ounces daily. And not to mention, we would always ask you to try and do some form of exercise every day, get a good night's sleep, and so forth. Now, I did bring here what I use to help with blood sugar, to burn down the sugars more rapidly. We use the TLC metabolic formula, because research has shown that berberine, and they've made metformin kind of modeled after what berberine does to help protect the inside of the mitochondria for sugar metabolism. And berberine is what they based it off of. Gymnea sylvestre is another herb that they use. So we use TLC metabolic formula, and it has in here alpha-lipoic acid, which helps the liver to detox from all this excess sugar, carbohydrate, any alcohol you might have. So this is a wonderful item. It's also got vanadium, chromium in it, many things that are helpful in assisting the clearance of excess glucose in the human body. So that's called TLC metabolic formula. I do use this regularly. When you are cleaning out damaged cells, I always think it's good to use some enzymes along with all that water, especially if you're fasting. And then I often will take a drink of powdered vitamin C called Vitality C, and I'll mix it with a scoop of magnesium, which is very relaxing to help with stretching and so forth. Stretching will help loosen up your lymphatics to promote weight loss. And I do use my multivitamin mineral whenever I am fasting. I use TLC Energy Core. TLC Energy Core has, all the general minerals and B vitamins and elements that support healthy liver detoxification. We do believe in taking this. And remember that man who did the 382-day fast, he was on a very good multi-mineral vitamin. And that has some B vitamins in it. So when you are losing weight, it is somewhat of a stress. So I do take extra B vitamins whenever I fast. The longest fast I've ever done is a 5-day fast. I do that twice a year. And that's after the 2 most highly concentrated times in my personal family's life where there's a lot of food and celebration. So for me, that's Labor Day, Monday until Saturday. I won't eat a thing. I'll do all my work, all my exercise. And then I fast 5 days, January 2nd to January 7th. And again, I'll be at work, I'll do my exercise and everything, but I'm always taking my multivitamin, my extra B vitamins that are methylated, so that if you have the methotetrahydrofolate SNP, that will help you with your stress. And then we do have and created the Doctor's Great Bar, 15 grams of protein, 15 grams of fiber. I will, if I am fasting, I won't have this, but if I am on intermittent fasting, I'll let myself maybe have half a bar if I eat 1 meal a day, and I'll eat the other half the next day. Remember, with the holidays, we have the Toxin Longevity gift certificates. This is a nice way to gift your family and your friends to try out some of these wonderful clinically researched nutraceuticals. And you might gift them with a box of our healthy protein-rich bars that will not raise your blood sugar and really will not raise any significant insulin response. So these are suggestions that you might have. Now I would like to ask Blake if there's any questions.
Yeah, a couple great ones. The first one here is intermittent fasting okay when you are pregnant?
In general, we suggest not to fast when you're pregnant. Now, throughout time, mankind, women have suffered throughout times when, they didn't have refrigerators and storage. So there have been times when they have fasted with pregnancy, but as a general rule, we say no. We want you to make a wise choice if you're pregnant with your foods, though. Remember, all those starches and carbohydrates are really not the direction you want. Your baby is made of fat and protein. 50% of the cell membrane, which is a double layer membrane. Remember, every membrane and the cells you're making in your baby, it's a double membrane, and it's phospholipid fats and these protein receptor points. So if you Google composition of cell membrane, it'll say 50% fat, 50% protein. There's no carbohydrates there. Now, yes, research is improving, and there is what we call a glycocalyx, which is a very like little eyelashes, you might say. There might be these little sugar moieties on the top to assist in immune and cell recognition. But as soon as the mammal dies, that glycocalyx vanishes. You are made, structurally, you are made of fat and protein. So eating as a pregnant woman, you want to emphasize fats and proteins. You want to eat the skin of the chicken. You want it roasted, not deep fried fat. You want organic sources, meats and fish. And you want rich vegetables. And I would certainly, of course, take a multivitamin. We recommend all our pregnant females to take 1 iodine tablet a day and vitamin D daily. They find in Japan, where they consume so much more iodine, maybe fourfold than women in America. They have less breast cancer, but they also have higher IQs, and they associate that with their higher iodine consumption, and we have a very low iodine consumption. So I give all children, I take 2 iodine tablets myself, but I give all pregnant women at least one 12.5 milligram tablet of iodoral with the vitamin D. So hopefully that kind of answers. We don't promote fasting in the pregnant woman, but what we do recommend is the rich protein and fats.
Great. Next question here is, how many TLC metabolic formula should I consume, and when, how often?
Well, the recommended dose in the TLC metabolic formula is 4 capsules a day. And I take mine all at once. I take it every morning. I do it on an empty stomach because I never eat breakfast. If you have a sensitive stomach and you absolutely have to take your vitamins or supplements with something, I would take some L-glutamine powder and then take it with it. 4 a day should be enough. We designed this to approximate or actually exceed the impact of the drug metformin. And so we have higher, richer, more clinically effective things in here. And I don't prescribe metformin, or extremely rarely, or only if a patient comes to me already on it, I do refill it. But we get them on this, which has much more nutritive value. 4 a day, and I use it all the time. I've been on this for years.
Perfect. And one more question so far, and that is, how much alpha-lipoic acid should be consumed? For instance, should TLC energy be enough, or should I also take ALA max?
It depends how much alpha-lipoic acid should you take. Now, if you are someone who drinks too much, and you know that, alpha-lipoic acid is a very good liver detoxification agent. It also assists with blood sugar management. The amount that's in the TLC energy core for alpha-lipoic acid is 200 milligram. That's a respectable dose. That's a good dose. The TLC metabolic formula has 600 in it. So if you are taking alpha-lipoic acid anywhere in the range of, say, 250 to 1,000 milligrams a day, that's very adequate for most situations, whether it's blood sugar control, whether it's helping your liver detox from injury, viral injury. All my hepatitis, chronic hepatitis patients, I put on alpha-lipoic acid, which is in the TLC metabolic, which is 600 milligrams. And, there was a doctor, I forget his name, amantadine poisoning. That's that mushroom that's deadly. It's absolutely toxic. You hear about little Boy Scouts occasionally eating the wrong mushroom, and there's no treatment for it. Yes, there is, however. Alpha-lipoic acid intravenously has really saved the lives of people who have had an amantadine mushroom poisoning. And there we're talking about using like 2 or 3 grams intravenously, repetitiously, until the liver is better. So hopefully that answers that question.
I think so. That's all the questions, and we probably have a couple more minutes. But something you said made me think of a question real quick, if it is a quick question. We talked about eating sugar.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people say, hey, but this candy I'm eating is sugar-free, or this Coke is sugar-free. If you had any quick thoughts on those types of products, maybe?
Yeah, if you actually look at diet sodas and the research on diet sodas, you'll find that they actually are linked with more weight gain as a general rule. It is a mimicker, and we do not recognize them as a safe product. I don't like diet sodas of any sort. And the same with these sugar-free elements. We ask you to wean yourself off of this, so to say, become an adult and learn to say no to these things, okay? But I would certainly say the research is solid. Diet sodas are linked with even worse weight gain and failures in weight loss programs, so I wouldn't touch them for a weight loss alternative. Now, when I use my drink here, this magnesium OptiMag Neuro, OptiMag Neuro has in it a few carbs in it. The total carbohydrates is 1 gram per scoop. Well, there is I am so low carb, I can taste the sweetness in green beans. And eventually, when you wean yourself down on carbohydrates, your tongue and sensitivities are going to get back to where they should have been, more normal to sense satisfying sugar content. I like a scoop of this with some ice in water at night. It's muscle relaxing. It helps you with bowel movements. It helps you with your deepness of your sleep. It's a nice thing to take for blood pressure. I'll also take and mix with it my vitamin C, one powder. And I don't believe there's any carbs in this. So for one carb's sake, I would suggest you get off of sodas and use instead Vitality C and OptiMag Neuro. These are delicious. It comes in like a berry flavor and then lime. I like lime flavor. And I don't like alcohol, so that's kind of like my drink.
I just want to say that's my nightly drink as well.
It is your nightly drink as well. It's a wonderful thing. It's healthy. At nighttime, your body is rebuilding. Please don't eat late at night at all. Please don't eat late, because when you go to bed and you've eaten at 8 or 9 o'clock and you're laying down at 11, your whole body and blood system is working on defending you from what you might have taken in. Whereas if you stop eating at 6:30 and go to bed at 10 o'clock, your stomach is empty and all that blood can go to help repair your body. And taking some vitamin C and magnesium is a very nice boost to the healing phenomena that will occur at night. And it'll make you feel, especially at my age in my late 60s, you know how excellent I feel every morning.
Great. And one last question just popped in, and they're curious if you know anything about or have an opinion on a sweetener called mango fruit.
I've heard of mango fruit. I'm not familiar with research on it, but you have to understand fruit has fructose in it, okay? All fruits have fructose in it. And just because we can afford it and we have a pocket full of money and we can buy a pie and we can go to Marie Callender's for dinner tonight and we can buy a box of chips or Dorito chips, does not mean that this is healthy for your body. I hope we've all learned our lesson. We have to self-impose restrictions on how long we're going to empty our stomach and let it heal our body. What we're going to put into that body is going to be full of these processed hidden sugars on top of sugar treats. You, my dear patients and friends, you have to start controlling that. And this is what we help our patients with. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. And I am always struggling with my weight and exercising. But if we don't try, then we're doomed. So I have had so many patients with, 40-pound weight loss, 70-pound weight loss, 50-pound weight loss, diabetics that get off their medicine, even insulin-dependent diabetics. We have so much success here. Life is happy. You can have just as good a time sipping tea with a friend as opposed to having to eat something. So have your rules, have the limit of your time. I'll come out to dinner with you at 7:30, but I'm not going to eat with you. I'll be with you, but I'm not going to eat with you because I have a medical condition. It's called I don't want to die soon. and I will enjoy your fellowship and the friends, but I'm not going to eat that late at night. Little rules like that. Just start incorporating them now.
That's all we got for the day.
Well, thank you again, and we'll see you next Wednesday at 9:45. We'll try and bring up timely topics. Please share and recommend this to a friend. The other thing is we've decided the second Thursday of December, I am not going to do a full hour-and-a-half seminar. I'm going to give myself a break. So do not come to the Ivy Suite on I think it's the 12th of December, Thursday.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, so we're not going to have a seminar on that day. I'll do the weekly seminars, and we'll pick it up in January, and then I'll have a good one for you. So be blessed and take care.
Perfect.